on July 20th of 2012?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and if you could look at the next exhibit, please.
Yes, ma'am.
You recognize the person in that photograph?
Yes, ma'am.
Who is that person?
Joshua Nolan.
Okay, and did you have an opportunity to visit Mr. Nolan in the hospital?
Yes, ma'am.
Objection. Cumulative.
Sustained.
It's a foundation question for the photograph, Your Honor.
It's still sustained.
Does that photograph fairly and accurately represent what Mr. Nolan looked like in the hospital on July 20th of 2012?
Yes, ma'am.
Objection. Relevance.
Mr. King, are you going to object to 4585?
Judge, I think it's already been admitted. Perhaps not.
Has 4585 been admitted?
It is not, Your Honor. We did not admit any face pictures of Mr. Nolan, and I'm just trying to help the jury put together who all of these witnesses are. It's just to help the jury understand the people that were together in the theater, Your Honor.
Judge.
Mr. King, are you still objecting to 4585?
Yes, sir.
Under Rule 403,
Yes, sir.
the objection is sustained as cumulative.
All right, thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, at this time, I would move for the admittance of the other exhibits that the people tendered to the court.
Any objection to exhibits 4514, 4515, and 1008?
No objection.
Without objection, exhibits 4514, 4515, and 1008 are admitted and may be published.
Thank you, Your Honor. Oh. Can I have 4514, please? All right. Ms. Axelrod, was this you on July 20th of 2012?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. If I could please have 4515? Ms. Axelrod, is this a photograph of your gunshot that you sustained on July 20th of 2012?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And if I could have 1008. One 1108. May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thanks. Thanks. 1108.
So it's not 1008, Ms. Tisch-McGuire?
Sorry, that was Mr. Orman's notes. It was 1108.
Okay, 1108.
All right.
So the exhibit that was admitted is 1108, not 1008.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. All right, Ms. Axelrod, there is a microphone next to you, I believe.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Could you please turn that on? And there is a wooden pointer behind you.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. If you could please describe for the jury where you entered the theater that night.
So we entered from here, went down, around, and up these stairs, and found our seats in this center area.
Right, and can you describe the order that you were seated?
Yes, ma'am. It was Joshua, myself, and Brandon.
All right. And could you describe for the jury where you saw that canister that you described as a soda can flying across the screen?
Yes, ma'am. It started from here, went up and over, and landed somewhere in this area.
All right. And could you also describe for the jury where you saw the flashes in the theater?
Right about here.
Could you describe for the jury your exit path?
Yes, ma'am. We started going up this side, turned around, went down, back this way. This is where I saw the man, and then we turned and exited out the same way we came in.
And could you clarify when you said you saw the man, what was it that you saw?
It was a man lying on the floor face down. He wasn't moving.
I have no further questions. Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. King, any cross-examination?
I have no questions. Thank you.
The jury may have a question for you, so give us just a moment, okay? Please?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, would counsel please approach? The jury has submitted some questions that, based on the rules of evidence and other applicable rules of law, I have determined are appropriate. So I'm going to ask you these questions now. The first question is, how long did the gunshots last once they started, approximately in your recollection?
I don't know, Your Honor. It felt like forever.
The next question is, approximately how long was the pause once the first set of gunshots stopped? Approximately.
I also cannot answer that.
The next question is, how long did the second set of gunshots last approximately?
Again, I'm sorry, I don't know.
And finally, when you left the theater, was the gunman gone, if you know?
I don't know.
Okay. Any follow-up questions based on those questions, Ms. Tisch-McGuire?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. King,
Thank you.
may this witness be released from her subpoena?
Yes, Your Honor.
Any objection?
Without objection.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Call your next witness, please.
Brandon Axelrod?
Good morning. Good morning. Do you solemnly swear or affirm under penalty of law that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, please be seated. Please tell us your full name and spell your first and last names.
Brandon Axelrod, Brandon Axelrod.
Ms. Tisch-McGuire, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Were you at the Century 16 movie theater on July 19th of 2012?
Yes, ma'am.
Did that go into the early morning of July 19th?
Yes,
July
ma'am.
20th of 2012.
Yes, ma'am.
What do you recall about the day of July 19th of 2012 prior to going to the movie theater that day?
We had just gotten back from our honeymoon. We ran some domestic errands, just getting food basically in our house. We watched the Batman movies to get ready for the new one. We went to Blimpie to eat lunch. I purchased the tickets. At one point, Josh and I fell asleep during, I believe, the second movie and took a nap. And then we had dinner, and we went to the movie in separate cars.
Could you clarify for the record who your wife is?
Denise Axelrod,
Could you clarify who your friend Josh is?
Joshua Nolan.
At some point in time, did you make it to the movie theater?
Yes, ma'am.
How did you get to the movie theater?
I drove my car.
What time approximately did you get to the movie theater that night?
Maybe an hour beforehand. When I had purchased the tickets, the lady at the box office told us to be there an hour. So we might have been a little earlier, but around an hour.
What did you do when you got to the movie theater?
Denise and I bought a Coke. We, of course, gave him the tickets, and then we went to find our seats.
Were you with Mr. Nolan at that point in time?
Yes, ma'am.
And where did you go find your seat?
About halfway up in the middle.
Of the stadium seating of the theater?
Yes, of the top section. There's the top section and then the bottom section.
What did you do while you were waiting for the movie to begin?
We looked at the people in costume that had dressed up for the movie, and we were saying it was funny how people do that to go to a movie. But Josh and I talked about our honeymoon. He wasn't able to go to our wedding because it was in Florida, so we just talked, basically.
Do you recall anything unusual happening at all prior to the movie beginning?
No?
At some point in time, were there previews for the movie?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you recall if your movie began?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, at the time when your movie's about to begin, were you able to see how full the theater was at that point in time?
When the preview started, I stopped paying attention to the people around us, but at that point, it was pretty full.
Now, at some point in time, did something happen during your movie?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And about how long into your movie was that?
There's a scene where Bruce Wayne fires a bow and arrow, and Anne Hathaway breaks into a safe, and it was right around there.
What happened?
I heard a hissing sound. I saw something go in front of the lit screen, going from the right to the left, if you're facing the screen. And then the shooting started.
What do you remember about the shooting starting?
Well, when we heard the hissing, I thought someone had snuck in like a soda, and it had exploded or something like that. But then when we saw the smoke, I got worried, and then when we heard the gunfire, we got down.
Do you have any experience with firearms?
Yes, ma'am.
What is your firearm experience?
Objection, relevance.
Abstain.
So what did you do after you started hearing the gunfire?
All three of us got down. I tried covering Denise. I put myself between her and the seats in front, at which point my leg got stuck. And we just tried to stay quiet as long as we could. Unfortunately, when Josh was shot, he screamed out. At that point, I had Denise give me her shirt, which was my shirt. It was a long sleeve shirt. And I wrapped that around his left arm. And then Josh yelled about his right leg. And I took my hat and tried to use that for his leg.
Now you said that when you went down, your leg got stuck. Can you describe for the jury what you're talking about?
Yes, ma'am. I'm not a skinny guy, and there's only a little bit of room between the seats in front of us and the concrete floor, and my leg got wedged at that point.
Now after you had heard Josh yell about his leg, what do you remember after that?
Trying to keep Josh calm. I had bits of him on me, so I was worried he might be in serious trouble, and then eventually he stopped making noise, and at that point I was concerned if we didn't get help that he was going to die.
What did you do after that?
I told Denise we needed to go get someone because no one at that point had come in. We exited from the right up the stairs, at which point I thought I saw someone on the opposite stairs. So I grabbed her and spun her around, pushed her down the stairs.
I'm going to stop you for a second. When you said you thought you saw someone, what are you talking about?
I thought I saw the shooter.
So that made you want to change direction,
Correct.
of course.
Go the
Okay.
opposite direction. Because unfortunately the door on top is at the top left if you're facing the screen.
And while you're...
I think it's up there. Sorry.
Sorry to interrupt. While you're changing direction, is gunfire going on at this point in time?
Not at that point.
So what do you recall as you were walking down the stairs?
I probably pushed Denise a little too hard because by the time she got to the end of the stairs, she had stumbled, but I held on to her shirt the whole time. She was just wearing her undershirt or whatever. And I spun her to go out to the right, back to the entrance we came in.
Do you recall noticing anything about your own injuries at that point in time?
My leg hurt, but it didn't matter. So
Why didn't it matter?
I just got married, and it didn't matter.
What happens when you get outside the theater?
When we exit, the theater doors were approached by, I believe they were plainclothes officers, but they had guns pointed at us, told us to put up our hands. At that point, we told them Josh is still in there, I thought he had passed out, and that they needed to go back in. They then ushered us outside of the building, facing west, and they pushed us over to the right along the building exterior.
At some point in time, were you able to seek medical treatment?
Eventually, yes.
And where were you able to go?
After we had been corralled to the right of the theater, they then had us go further west in the parking lot to where they had a group of injured people together. We sat there until the EMT came by, saw what he thought was a bullet near my wife's spine, said that she was going to go right away and that I would have to wait. And then my wife, not being from Colorado, didn't want to go on her own, so we...
Judge, I'm going to object as to the narrative response. I think the question was, where did you receive medical treatment?
The west of the...
Hold on.
Oh, sorry.
The question was, and where were you able to go? So the objection as to narrative is overruled pursuant to Rule 611A. Go ahead.
Eventually, we got into an ambulance that was in the west side of the parking lot. A nice EMT lady said that I could go with Denise, but I couldn't sit down because there wasn't enough room. But she took us together. So,
What hospital you were taken to?
Aurora South.
Did you receive any medical treatment at Aurora South?
I was given an ice bag and a Band-Aid. And an x-ray, and I believe that was it.
Did you sustain any injuries in the theater on July 20th of 2012?
Yes, ma'am.
What injuries did you sustain?
I tore a ligament in my ankle. I have a slight tear in my knee. I had bits of like plastic from the seats in front of us embedded up and down my right side of my body.
Your Honor, if I may approach the witness with People's Exhibits 4509, 4513, and 1107.
As long as you don't ask Mr. Orman what the exhibit numbers are, yes.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Axelrod, do you recognize the person in 4509?
Yes, ma'am.
Who is that?
Me.
Does that picture fairly and accurately represent what you look like on July 20th of 2012?
It's not a good picture, but yes.
And do you recognize what's depicted in People's Exhibit 4513?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and what is that a photograph of?
The lowest injury, or the lowest laceration, I guess I had.
Okay, and what part of your body is that on?
My right leg. Right above my...
Do you recognize what's depicted in People's Exhibit 1107?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and what is that?
The diagram of the Theater 9.
Your Honor, this time I would move to publish People's Exhibit, or admit People's Exhibits 4509, 4513, and 1107.
And for the record, Ms. Tish McGuire, 1107 is a diagram of the theater with some of this witness's notes on it. Is that correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
All right, and it was
Sorry.
similarly with respect to 1108, which was admitted earlier, for the record, that had some notes from Denise Axelrod, correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
All right, any objection to the admission of Exhibits 4509, 4513, and 1107?
No, sir.
Without objection, People's Exhibits P-TR 4509, 4513, and 1107 are admitted and may be published.
Thank you, Your Honor. If I could please have Exhibit 4509. All right, could you describe for the jury what that photograph depicts?
That's me.
And is that on July 20th of 2012?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. If I could please have People's Exhibit 4513. All right, and what is that photograph depicting?
One of the lacerations on my leg.
All right. And if I could please have People's Exhibit 1107. All right. Now, Mr. Axelrod, there's a microphone next to you up there.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, if you could turn that on, please. And there's a stick behind you. All right, if you could please describe for the jury where you entered the theater.
We entered on the right side and then came up to the middle of the theater.
All right, and then could you please describe for the jury where your seats are?
About a little less than halfway in either the 13th or the 14th row.
Could you describe for the jury your seating order?
I believe it was John, myself, and Denise, but it might have been the other way.
Okay. And could you describe for the jury where you saw flashes in the theater?
In the front section, I guess that's what you would call it.
Okay. And did you ever see flashes in any other location of the theater?
Just back and forth in the front.
Okay. And can you describe for the jury where you saw that object that flew across the theater?
Starting near, I guess this is an exit door, so going this way, or that way. Sorry.
All right. And then could you describe your exit path of the theater?
Originally we went this way to try and go out this exit, but we turned around and went out the same way we came in.
And could you describe for the jury where you believed that person was that you were concerned was a shooter?
On the other side, so right in that area.
I have no further questions. Thank you.
Mr. King, do you have any cross-examination?
I do not, thank you.
All right. It does not appear that the jury has any questions. So may this witness be released from his subpoena, Ms. Tish McGuire?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor.
Is there any objection?
Without objection.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Do I give these to you?
Give those to Ms. Tish McGuire, and she can put them on the part of the bench back here. Thank you. You want to just put him back here, Ms. Tish McGuire, up there on the. Thank you. All right, call your next witness, please.
I'm going to call Detective Apple for a limited purpose.
Okay. Good morning.
Good morning.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm under penalty of law that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please be seated. Could you please tell us your full name for the record?
Craig John Apple, Appel.
And how do you spell your first and middle names?
Craig, John, John.
Mr. Orman, you may proceed with your direct examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. Sir, can you please tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury who you work for?
I'm employed by the Aurora Police Department. Currently, I'm signed over to the FBI Joint Terrorism Task Force. But back on July 20th, 2012, I was working in a homicide unit with Sergeant Files.
What is your rank or title with the police department?
With the Aurora Police Department, detectives were called agents.
Is it okay if I call you detective?
Yes, sir.
I want to ask you about your role in this case. Would it be fair to say that you were the head investigator with the police department relating to the theater shooting?
Yes.
And we've heard from Sergeant Files testify. Was he sort of your overseer and boss as this happened?
Boss and kind of a co-case agent on this case.
I'd like to ask you about some events that happened in the afternoon of July 20th, 2012, and I'll take you to about 3:45 p.m. Did you participate in an interview of the defendant with Special Agent Garrett Gumbiner, and that's Gumbinner, and the defendant?
Yes, I did.
And the person that you and Agent Gumbiner spoke to, is he present in the courtroom?
Yes, he is.
Could you please point him out to us?
Sitting to my right with a light blue shirt on, beard, glasses, dark hair.
Now, I want to ask you a few questions about that interview, and then I'm going to call Agent Gumbiner in a little bit. First, I would like to ask you about how you and Agent Gumbiner were dressed when you had this interview.
Dressed probably very similar to what I'm wearing today. I did not have a gun on at that time. Agent Gumbiner was wearing cargo pants and a polo t-shirt. He also did not have a gun on.
Where did the interview take place?
At the Aurora City Jail, which is about 100 yards from our headquarters.
Can you please describe for the ladies and gentlemen of the jury the room that you interviewed the defendant in?
Aurora City Jail, they have a booking area, a holding cell area, and then interview rooms. These interview rooms have a table in them. They are not equipped with recording devices. The room where we interviewed the defendant at was a door, and also beside the door was a half wall and then glass. The table inside, small table about this size right here, maybe 3 feet by 5 feet. He sat with his back towards the wall. I sat directly across the table facing him. Agent Gambiner sat probably 2 or 3 feet to the defendant's right side.
Can you please describe the demeanor of the defendant when you spoke to him and how he acted when questions were asked of him?
Can you press the microphone, please?
Objection relevance.
The objections overruled pursuant to Rule 401 and 402.
He was brought down from one of the holding cells wearing, I think it was an orange jumpsuit. He appeared somewhat tired, sat in the chair, not straight up, but kind of slouched down, spoke in a low voice, monotone, would make eye contact occasionally with me sitting across the table, but mostly would look past me or to my left. When questions was asked by Agent Gambiner, he would actually somewhat turn and look at Agent Gambiner and make contact with Agent Gambiner.
Now, yesterday, the jury saw, I think it was yesterday, a recording of you and Detective Mel speaking to the defendant sometime around 2:30 in the morning on July 20th, and that had a video recorder. I think you've already mentioned this, but can you explain the difference in the system or lack of a system that existed in this room over at the jail?
This room did not have a recording system, therefore I brought a small micro-digital recorder we commonly use when we're out on the street.
When you went into the room, did you have that recorder with you, the digital recorder?
Yes, I did. I had placed it in a notebook, a folder on the table.
Was it operating properly?
Yes, I had placed it in a folder. However, I had turned it on, but then during the first 1 or 2 minutes of the interview, I must have turned it off by pressing my folder down. So it was off for probably the first 1 to 2 minutes.
In other words, maybe when you put it on the table, you turned it off accidentally?
Yes, it was covered by the top of the notebook, so he could not see it.
So what you said is there's a couple minutes of the interview that were not recorded.
Yes.
How did you notice that this wasn't working and then turn it on?
I just had a weird feeling at that time. I looked at it, opened the notebook, and I saw the light was not on.
So I'd like to ask you about what happened in that couple of minutes before you noticed this. When you noticed it, did you turn on the recorder?
Yes, I did.
Can you please tell me about the start of the conversation that you had with the defendant? And I'm just talking about the portions that are not on the tape. How did that start?
I introduced myself to the defendant. We had met earlier that morning. I introduced Agent Gambiner to the defendant. I told him, I realized...
Let me stop you there for a second. Did you ask him any questions that led him to respond about what he had done in his apartment? And
Yes.
I'm not asking you what the questions are. I'm asking you, did you ask that question?
Yes, I did.
Okay. So can you please start with, did he explain to you in general what he had done with his apartment and why?
Yes. Why was, he stated that he placed numerous devices in his apartment to catch fire or to explode hoping that the police would respond to his apartment instead of the theater.
Did he indicate to you whether he had done anything to his apartment that might draw attention to it so that people would go to it?
Yes, he did.
What did he say?
He explained that he had made a recording on his home computer for 25 minutes of silence, and then loud music would play, hoping that the neighbors would hear that and call the police.
And is this the point in time where you noticed that there was an issue with the recorder and turned it on?
Yes, at that time I had a hunch that it wasn't running.
So at the beginning of the recording, I want to just so the jury can understand where we're starting here, what was the topic then that was being discussed when the recorder is turned on?
That he had staged a device that if you'd open the door, the explosion or fire would start, more like a tripwire.
And did he say what the tripwire was made of?
Fishing line.
And did he say what that fishing line was attached to?
Yes, I believe a thermos, which would, I'm not a bomb tech, would pour some items into a pan, and that would catch fire and start the ignition of this whole process in his apartment.
Your Honor, I have no further questions of Detective Apple at this time, but I would like to reserve the right to recall him later.
All right. Ms. Spengler, do you have any cross-examination at this time?
Briefly,
Okay, you may proceed.
good morning, Detective Apple.
Good morning, ma'am.
Detective Apple, the recording that we saw yesterday, the video recording and audio recording of Mr. Holmes with you and Detective Mel, that took place at headquarters, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And where you and Agent Gumbinder spoke with Mr. Holmes later in the afternoon, that room was within the same building where you had spoken with Mr. Holmes with Detective Mel, is that correct?
No, it isn't.
Okay. How far is it?
The whole Aurora complex is probably about 100 yards to the west. You walk through the parking lot, and we have our own side that we can go in,
And how long does that walk take?
as long as it takes to walk 100 yards.
Okay. And so the recording device, video and audio recording device, was within 100 yards of where you eventually spoke with Mr. Holmes later that afternoon.
Yes, a different building.
Okay. And I want to talk to you about what was said to Mr. Holmes prior to asking him questions about his apartment. And what was said to him by you and Agent Gumbinder was that the main purpose for you to be there seeing him again was the safety of women and children and people in the neighborhood, correct?
Yes.
No further questions.
Any redirect, Mr. Orman?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
All right. There may be a question or more from the jury, so give us just a moment, please. Would counsel please approach? Sir, the jury has submitted a question that, based on the rules of evidence and other applicable rules of law, I have concluded is appropriate, so I am going to ask it now. The question is, what time was this second interview and how long did it last?
I believe the second interview started at 3:45 p.m. and lasted for approximately 38 minutes.
Any follow-up questions, Mr. Orman?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Any follow-up questions, Ms. Spengler? No. All right, thank you. Sir, you're subject to recall, and you may be under the defense's subpoena as well. And so there's a likelihood that you'll be recalled by either party or perhaps both. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Orman, you may call your next witness, please.
Special Agent Garrett Gumben, Your Honor.
Good morning. You solemnly swear or affirm under penalty of law that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please be seated. Please tell us your full name and spell your first and last names.
Garrett Gumbener, G-A-R-R-E-T-T, last name spelled G-U-M-B-I-N-N-E-R.
All right, thank you. Please make sure you speak into the microphone, so move the microphone if you need to, and please speak slowly so that my co-reporter can take down what you say. Mr. Orman, you may proceed.
Thank you. Agent, how are you employed?
I work for the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
What is your job title?
I am a Special Agent Bomb Technician.
Now, we call you a special agent. Is everyone in the FBI sort of a special agent, or are there any just regular agents?
Everybody's a special agent in the FBI.
And bomb technician, does that mean that you have a specialty in explosive and incendiary devices?
Yes, it does.
How long have you been a special agent bomb technician?
Since 2005, about 10 years.
How long have you been with the FBI total?
Just over 15 years. I joined in 1999.
Let's talk about your training as a bomb technician and explosives. Can you please give the jury an overview of what you had to do to not only be a special agent, but a special agent bomb technician?
In order to be a special agent in the FBI, you attend a 16-week school up in Quantico, Virginia. I believe now it's about 22 weeks where you go through intensive investigative training, interview training, as well as all aspects of law enforcement. To become a special agent bomb technician in the FBI, you attend a school in Redstone Arsenal, Alabama called the Hazardous Device School. Every public safety bomb technician in the United States attends that school. It's a 6-week school that teaches us how to render safe improvised explosive devices and other hazardous devices, such as dispersal devices or incendiary devices. It also teaches us how to do demolition. There's also robot operations and electronics that's involved in that school.
Do you have to be recertified or get refresher courses?
Yes, every 3 years, every public safety bomb tech in the United States goes back to the Hazardous Device School for 1 week and runs through additional problems to be recertified.
Have you been deployed to various places in your job as a special agent bomb technician?
Yes, I've been deployed around the United States to numerous special events such as Super Bowls and World Series. I deployed overseas in 2007 in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom to Iraq, where I embedded with a unit that did a counter-improvised explosive device mission in order to process scenes of IEDs that were being utilized in Iraq. I've also traveled around the world training, as well as here in the United States, training other bomb techs and our military explosive ordnance disposal operators.
Your Honor, pursuant to the court's previous order, I move to have Special Agent Gumbener accepted as an expert witness in the field of explosive and incendiary devices as a bomb technician.
Any additional objection, Ms. Spengler? No. All right. Without additional objections, based on my previous ruling, Special Agent Gumbener is accepted by the court as an expert witness in the field of explosives and incendiary devices as a bomb technician. And so what that means, folks, is that he may render expert opinions now. Let me give you an instruction about expert opinion testimony. I'm going to give you this instruction at the end of the trial as well when I give you all the jury instructions. You are not bound by the testimony of a witness who testifies as an expert. The credibility of an expert's testimony is to be considered as that of any other witness. You may believe all of an expert witness's testimony, part of it or none of it. The weight that you give the testimony is entirely your decision. Does everybody understand that instruction? Okay, and everybody's nodding their head yes. All right, and my ruling in terms of qualifying this witness as an expert is pursuant to Rule 702 of the Colorado Rules of Evidence and the Colorado Supreme Court's decision in People versus Schreck. You may proceed, Mr. Orman.
Thank you. Special Agent Governor, and even though you're Special Agent Bomb Technician, is it okay if I just call you Special Agent?
Please.
I want to ask you about two areas. I want to ask you about a response that you participated in related to the defendant's car that was parked behind a theater, and a later response to the apartment. Did you participate in both of those?
Yes, I did.
And would it be fair to say that you participated in both of those with a lot of other professionals?
Yes, I did.
Were you asked to respond to the Century 16 Theater in relation to the defendant's car?
Yes, I was.
Do you remember about what time it was that you were called out there?
I believe it was between 1:30 a.m. and 2 a.m. in the morning.
And how long did it take you to respond?
Not very long, less than 10 minutes.
Were you aware that something was going on, or did they just wake you up and you were there in 10 minutes?
No, we were aware that there was an active shooter at the theater and that we possibly had IEDs. We knew at the apartment, but we also were concerned about his vehicle.
What time did you first find out about the active shooter and that an incident had occurred?
Around 1:30 in the morning.
And when did you then learn that you should go to the scene at the theater?
During that phone call.
When you got to the theater, did you have any special equipment with you or anything like that?
When I arrived at the theater, I had bomb equipment in my Suburban. The Arapahoe County Bomb Squad was already on scene with their big bomb truck, and I supported them by embedding with their bomb squad, and we started operating, clearing the vehicle.
Your Honor, if I may approach the witness with 4 photographs that I have shown to counsel.
Yes.
And these, for the record, Your Honor, are 2984, 2985, 2986, and 2987.
Okay, thank you.
Join in the counsel once again.
All right, thank you.
Because I showed her a bunch of photographs.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Can you please tell me what we're looking at there?
You're looking at a photo from behind the theater of the defendant's vehicle.
And do those photographs accurately depict what the layout was behind the theater and where that vehicle was situated?
Yes, they do.
Your Honor, at this point, I move to admit 2484. Now I'm looking at my notes, and now I'm not. The exhibits I just handed to the witness, Your Honor.
All right, is there any objection to exhibits P-TR-2984, 2985, 2986, and 2987?
No.
All right, without objection, they're all admitted and they may be published.
Thank you. If we could please put up 2984. Special Agent Governor, what are we looking at there?
That's the rear of the Century 16 Theater, and you're looking at the defendant's car, the white car, in the top of the picture.
There's a handheld microphone, should be up there. Could you turn that on? And then there's a kind of a makeshift pointer device there. Could you point out for the ladies and gentlemen of the jury where the defendant's car is?
Right here.
Okay, thank you. You can sit down. And if we could put up 2985, please. What are we looking at there?
That's an elevated photo of the defendant's vehicle parked behind the theater.
And if we could have 2986, please. And what is that?
Again, another elevated picture of the defendant's vehicle.
And is that from a reverse angle?
Yes, it is.
And then 2987. And what are we looking at there?
And again, a reverse angle picture from behind the theater of the defendant's vehicle.
I want to ask you something about this photograph. To the right is sort of a grassy area, and then that would be Sable Boulevard there. Is that correct?
Correct.
And then in the distance, sort of on the horizon there, across a large field, is a building complex. There's a little building with a dome off to the left and a larger building off to the right. Do you know what that facility is?
Yes, that's the Aurora Police Station District 2,
And City Hall and whatnot?
and in the Aurora City Jail.
So we're going to get to a conversation that you had with the defendant later. Did it occur in that complex over there?
Yes, it did.
Okay, thank you. If we could please put up 2985 again. I want to ask you some questions about the car and maybe use this to assist as needed. When you got there, what were you asked to do in relation to that car?
Myself and the Arapahoe County Bomb Squad were tasked with clearing that vehicle for explosive hazards, for improvised explosive devices or any incendiary devices that might be in that vehicle.
Now, I think that this word clear is probably something that police and FBI agents use all the time, but probably not in the same way that people would use it. Well, I guess you're people too, but you know what I mean. What do you mean by clear?
To search the vehicle and make sure there weren't any IEDs that could harm first responders, such as officers, that then ended up searching the vehicle.
What is an IED?
It's an improvised explosive device.
Did you then participate in, as you described it, clearing that car?
Yes, I did.
Who were you working with?
I was working with bomb technician Craig Clark from the Arapahoe County Bomb Squad and bomb technician Troy Waller with the Arapahoe County Bomb Squad. Also, my partner, Special Agent Bomb Technician Miles Guterham, was on scene for the first few hours.
What did you do to start with clearing of the car? First of all, did you have to put on any special equipment?
Well, as bomb technicians, when we need to clear a vehicle or we need to clear any item, we like to use a remote platform. We don't like to send a bomb technician downrange or towards the target vehicle or target improvised explosive device if we don't have to. So what we did in this case, and what we do in a lot of cases, the remote platform that we used was a bomb robot. So we started attempting to clear the vehicle of IEDs with the robot.
Were you successful in doing that?
Somewhat. We had limited access utilizing the robot. Unfortunately, the tint on the vehicle, on the windows, we weren't able to see through, and on the front windshield of the vehicle, there was a sunshade, so we were unable to see inside the car.
Because of that, did you have to go, as you called it, downrange?
So we broke the windows with the bomb robot, but we were still unable to gain full access to the vehicle. So myself and bomb technician Troy Waller put on the big green bomb suits that protect us from fragmentation and the thermal effect of IEDs. And we walked down to the vehicle and manually started clearing the items that were inside the vehicle.
And is this bomb suit similar to what you might see on a TV show where you got a bomb technician?
Yes, it's the big green suit that weighs about anywhere between 85 and 90 pounds that you see in the movies and also on TV.
Were you wearing a helmet?
Yes,
What kind of helmet?
it's the helmet that goes with the bomb suit.
Do you know what it's made out of?
Ceramic material, Kevlar, very heavy and very large.
Now, I'd like to, and you can refer to this picture here, and if I'm going to ask you a question that would get into some kind of particularly sensitive procedure that you use, that if someone heard about it, they could then, use that as some kind of way to get around what you're doing, let me know, because that's not what I'm trying to get, okay?
Okay.
So I want to first ask you what you did when you approached the car.
One of the first things that Troy and I did when we approached the car, we opened the hatchback. We were unable to open the back of the vehicle with the robot, so Troy and I went down to the vehicle and manually opened the back of the hatchback of the car.
Were you able to do that?
Yes, we were.
And after you did that, were you able to look into the rear of the car?
We were.
What did you see?
Multiple backpacks, other bags that were inside the vehicle.
What did you do with those?
So we actually utilized the robot again. Both Troy and I backed away from the vehicle, and we utilized the robot to take those bags out of the car. We didn't know if there would be any explosives in those bags, so we wanted to use as much safety as possible. So we took the robot, and all the bags were removed from the vehicle utilizing the bomb robot. At which point, Troy and I went back downrange or down to the vehicle to help clear.
And did you do that?
We did.
Did you take essentially most of the stuff out of the car?
A lot of the stuff, yes.
Where'd you put it?
Behind the vehicle.
Did you find any explosive or incendiary devices in the car?
No, we did not.
Did you see any weapons in the car?
Yes, there was two weapons. One handgun was placed on top of the vehicle. When we approached, we could clearly see the handgun sitting on the roof of the car. In the passenger side door in the compartment, there was another handgun inside that compartment.
Apart from clearing out the car, did you see any of the items that other officers had removed from the defendant when arrested and that had been placed on the ground?
Yes, we saw different types of ballistic protection, as well as web gear, which is something you wear around your waist with a belt with pouches that contained ammunition.
Did you feel a need to examine the materials and clothing and items that had been removed from the defendant as part of your response to the area of that car?
Yes, I did.
Why is that?
Because we had information that the defendant possibly threw something in the theater. We knew that this clothing was on him at the time, and we were concerned that possibly there was additional either IEDs or an improvised device inside of his clothing or the web gear that he had.
Can you tell us what you found when you looked through the clothing and the web gear?
Numerous magazines, extended round magazines of ammunition for a Glock handgun, as well as another magazine for an AR-15 and a compression bandage.
Your Honor, if I may approach the witness with what has been marked for identification as People's Exhibit 2176, 2180, 2182, and 2183.
Yes.
And I'll show these to counsel. Handing you 2176, 2180, 2182, and 2183. Can you tell me what those are photographs of?
These are photographs of the ammunition that I removed from his clothing and the web gear that was by his vehicle.
And when you removed them, did you place them at the location that is depicted in those photographs?
Yes, I did.
Your Honor, I move to admit 2176, 2180, 2182, and 2183.
Any objection, Ms. Spangler? Okay, without objection, P-TR-2176, 2180, 2182, and 2183 are admitted and may be published.
Thank you. If we could please put up 2176. What is that in the top of the photograph, that white object there?
That's his vehicle.
And underneath it, I can sort of see something that looks like a backboard. Do you know how that got there?
Yes, when myself and
Overruled?
When myself and the other bomb technician were on scene, there was a lot of medical equipment that was by his vehicle due to the victims being treated. The backboard was behind his vehicle, and you can imagine being in the bomb suit that weighs 85 to 90 pounds, we kept tripping over it. So we slid it under the vehicle so it would be out of our way and we could operate around his vehicle.
Thank you. And we're looking at a number of things. First of all, there is one smaller object to the bottom of the photograph, and then near the car is a larger group of objects. What are those?
Those are multiple extended round magazines that I removed from his web gear.
And why do we have them in two different positions like that?
The group and then the one?
Yes.
I don't know.
Okay. Let's go to 2180, please. What are we looking at there?
Again, that's a close-up video of the extended round magazines for the handguns, as well as one magazine for an AR-15 assault rifle.
Can you please point out, and actually, what's this object down, it's like in a plastic pouch.
That's the compression bandage that was inside one of the pouches.
Can you point out the different types of magazines using that pointer and point out the compression bandage?
So these are the extended round magazines for the handgun. This magazine right here is for the assault rifle, and right here is the compression bandage.
Thank you. Do you have first aid training?
I do.
Do you know what a compression bandage is?
Yes, I do.
What is it?
So a compression bandage is utilized if you receive a wound or a gunshot wound to your legs or arms. One of the things that you want to do immediately is apply pressure to that area. The compression bandage allows itself, once you wrap it onto the wound, it holds pressure on that gunshot wound or on that wound.
And where'd you find that compression bandage?
That was inside his web gear.
Can I have 1 second, Your Honor?
Yes.
How long did you stay? We can take that down, thank you. How long did you stay at the scene of the theater?
Till around 5:30 to 6 a.m. in the morning.
After that, where'd you go?
I went to the defendant's apartment.
And where was that?
Located in 1960, I believe, Paris Street.
Would that be maybe 1690?
Yes, 1690.
And was that apartment where everything was found, was that now? Was that then, I'm sorry, and is that now in the state of Colorado?
Yes, it is.
What time did you get to the scene of the apartment?
Around 6 a.m., between 6 a.m. and 6:30 in the morning.
Who else was there when you arrived?
Multiple bomb technicians from the Adams County Bomb Squad, my partner, SABT Miles Guterham, as well as numerous first responders from the Aurora Fire Department, as well as the Aurora Police Department.
What was your purpose in responding to the apartment building?
I was tasked, along with multiple other bomb technicians in the area, to render safe the devices inside the defendant's apartment, as well as communicating the information to the Aurora Fire Department, the Aurora Police Department, as well as allocating the FBI resources that were on scene and briefing the command staff that shortly thereafter were on scene.
What did you do when you first got to the apartment?
Try to gather as much information on the scene as possible.
At that point in time, were you able to see inside the apartment?
At that point in time, we had a robot that was in the doorway of the defendant's apartment, and we were able to see with a limited scope inside of his living room. And that was mainly it. Shortly thereafter, we ended up breaking all the windows to the apartment and gaining a little bit more access through the windows.
Were you able to see the images on the computer screen that was showing what the bomb robot was seeing?
Yes, we were. On any bomb robot, you have multiple cameras that are wireless cameras that will feed the video back to the bomb squad truck. And at that point, we had video of the limited access that we had inside his apartment being fed back to the bomb technicians in the bomb truck. So we were able to see somewhat inside of his living room.
If I showed you some screen captures from the bomb robot video, would you be able to say whether or not they accurately depict what was observed through the bomb robot video?
Yes, I would.
Your Honor, if I can, I'm going to approach the witness with what has been marked for identification as People's Exhibit 4856, 4857, 4858, 4859, 4860.
Yes. Also, Mr. Orman, when you get to a point where you think it makes sense for us to take our morning break, let me know.
I think maybe right after we get done with these.
Okay, great.
Can you tell us what those photographs are?
These are screenshots that were taken from the robot that we had inside or right in the doorway of the defendant's apartment.
Do they accurately depict what was seen from the robot that was up in the doorway of the defendant's apartment?
Yes, absolutely.
I move to admit, Your Honor.
Any objection to those exhibits, Ms. Spengler?
No objection.
All right, without objection, exhibits P-TR-4856, 4857, 4858, 4859, and 4860 are admitted and may be published.
Before we get to those, I want to ask you a couple of questions about what you saw. And when you looked through the camera of the robot and you saw what was in the apartment, did you have an opinion about whether that appeared to you to be an explosive or incendiary device?
We thought we had multiple improvised explosive devices as well as a booby trap that was possibly an incendiary device.
Let's talk about the booby trap, and then I want to talk about the pictures. Describe, what is a booby trap?
So a booby trap is anything that would be a victim operated, such as a tripwire. So say a victim would walk into a room and he'd hit the tripwire, that would be a victim operated booby trap that would then initiate either an improvised explosive device or an improvised incendiary devices.
And we're going to see the photograph in just a second, but if you could describe what you saw went through the camera of the robot that looked to you to be a booby trap.
So in the doorway of the defendant's apartment, you could see a line, which appeared to be a fishing line, running from the door jamb, and it was attached to a thermos that was laying at a 45-degree angle over a frying pan. So you had a thermos that had some type of liquid in it at a 45-degree angle that was attached to this fishing line that went to his door, and the thermos was staged or sitting over a frying pan full of a different type of material or ingredient.
And when you looked at that, were you concerned that that might be some type of explosive or incendiary device?
Yes, we actually thought it was an incendiary device.
Okay, if we can please put up 4856. Can you please, and now, can you tell us what we're looking at there?
So you're looking from the defendant's door jamb into his living room. You can see the thermos that has liquid inside at an angle over the frying pan, and the thermos is again attached to that fishing line that goes to the door jamb of the defendant's apartment.
Is that fishing line visible in this photograph?
Yes, it is.
Could you please use that microphone and pointer again and show that to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury?
So you can see right here the fishing line is attached to the handle of the thermos, and then it runs up to the door jamb.
If we could have 4857, please. And I want you to stay there and let me ask you a couple questions about these as we do this. What are we looking at in 4857?
So this is right by the defendant's door, and you can see that he's placed the fishing line and he's attached it with a tack. Right next to the door.
thumbtack?
Yes.
Okay, if we could have the next one, 4858. And what are we looking at there as far as that booby trap is concerned?
So again, you can see the fishing line running from the door jamb down to where it was attached to the thermos.
Now, I see that there's an illumination where you can see items on the floor and so forth. Do you know what was providing that illumination?
The robot.
Was the apartment dark otherwise?
Yes, it was.
Okay. And if we could move to the next one, which I believe is 4859. And I think we can see the thermos a little bit better there. Can you please tell us what we're looking at there?
So again, we have the bomb robot in the door jamb of the defendant's apartment. You can see his front door right here. And again, you see white powder that the defendant has sprinkled on the floor. And then right here is the thermos, and you can't really make out, but the fishing line is attached right to the left of where the door closes.
And if we could have the last one, 5860, please. Tell me what we're looking at there.
Again, you can see the fishing line that's attached to the handle of the thermos. Inside the thermos is a bottle of liquid, and then you can see it's placed on these sneakers at an angle that sits over this frying pan full of a different ingredient.
And thank you, you can take a seat. We can take that down. As a special agent bomb technician, did this cause you concern about whether this was a dangerous situation?
Absolutely.
Excuse me, objection asked and answered.
Overruled.
Absolutely. We were gravely concerned once we saw the booby trap.
Your Honor,
Gravely concerned once we saw the booby trap.
I think this would be a good time to take the break.
All right. Members of the jury, let's go ahead and take our morning break. Please remember, all the admonitions related to your conduct when you're not in the courtroom apply during each break, each and every break. And so those apply during the break. Enjoy the break, and I'll see you back here in 20 minutes. Like that the jury has exited the courtroom. Please be seated, everyone. Let's take our break. I'll see everyone back here in 20. Thank you. The court will be in recess.
All right.